Alvin Hall hasn't lived next to the Empire State Building in his beautiful apartment in the heart of New York his entire life. His extremely successful career is the first proof that there's one thing he knows well: how money works. And he loves teaching about it.
I was raised poor in the deep south of America. I like to joke that we were raised so poor that we couldn't afford the OR on the word, so we were po.
Education's been Mr. Hall's ticket out of poverty. Racial segregation ended while he was still in school. This meant he could apply for a summer program offered by Yale. He made it through the tough selection thanks to what he learnt from the only book that he had at home.
At night, I would read a letter from the World Book Encyclopedia, the letter S, the letter T, the letter Q. And unbeknownst to me, I was accumulating all of this knowledge. My name is Mr. Hall. We're here to do maths. When I was 16 years old, my mother earned this amount of money, 3,985 pounds, the equivalent a year. You can't just sit there and say, well, I'm going to tell you about money and how money works. No. A child needs to be able to relate to that, to their own lives, and maybe see in you someone that they can relate to and understand.
Cigarettes and alcohol.
Cigarettes and alcohol. Kwame, what do you waste money on?
I don't waste money.
You don't waste money? Come on, Jake.
Clothes.
One of the things that disturbs me most is that people want to separate the learning of mathematics from the learning of money. When young children are learning mathematics in school, they're learning the basic skills on how to handle money. I think all education needs to do is to overlay more examples involving money on that model that already exists.
But why learn about money? Don't we already live in a society where everything is ruled by money? Shouldn't we leave at least school and education out of it?
You determine how much money is appropriate for you and how you want to handle it. The skill set is the same whether you're earning a small amount of money in a modest job or you're earning a mega amount of money and you're flying around on private jets. You have to make the money balance, and you have to set financial goals for yourself that are both short-term and long-term, and work on both fronts at one time.
Alvin Hall believes children understand how it works since they start understanding the balance between how many dollars they have and how many dollars they want. And grown-ups need to continue to learn about it as financial products change. The goal is leading a satisfying life where money serves you and not the other way around.
Financial pundits have long predicted our transformation to a cashless society. And it's true. Paper checks are so last century, while online payments, debit cards, and prepaid cards have skyrocketed in popularity. According to the most recent Federal Reserve payment study, cash accounts for just 14% of the total value of transactions the average American makes each month. And it's not just large purchases. These days, there's no shame in using plastic to buy everything from a pack of gum to a bottle of water. The smartphone has further distanced us from our wallets. Paying with mobile apps is transforming the way we spend. Nearly 8 in 10 Americans carry less than $50 in cash. Now, while this cashless trend is great for banks and credit card companies, you should be wary. Why? Simply put, studies show we spend as much as 18% more when paying with credit or debit cards. The added expense comes down to psychology. Putting a purchase on a card doesn't quite feel like spending money. There's no cash withdrawal and no dwindling stack of bills in your pocket. Plastic is just so easy. Not to mention, there are all of those incentives: points, cash back, online discounts. So it's not surprising that as a country, we owe $733 billion in credit card debt, with the average household more than $15,000 in the hole. I say stop digging. Here's a challenge. For just 1 week, pay for everything with cash. Dinner with friends? Cash. Your weekly manicure? Cash. Filling up the pump? You're paying cash. If you complete my 1 week cash challenge, you're more likely to stick to essentials and less likely to grab those impulse purchases. Bottom line, you should spend considerably less money. That's money you can invest towards your long-term goals. And when your credit card statement comes, you'll go from seeing red to
so
seeing
many
green.
gifts under the tree, but one special one. He was that special gift that I received during that time.
Anything or wise words of wisdom that you remember or that stick with you that he's ever told you in advice?
Well, you know, after I came from the Olympics back in 1976, I wasn't going to turn pro. And the only reason I turned pro was to help my father, who was very ill. And Muhammad Ali gave me advice. He said, Ray, be your own man, sign your own checks, look out for everyone. That was very profound advice.
And then I'm going to have you do a one-worder. You can say the same thing again if you would like. Just say Muhammad Ali is, and then fill it in and straight to the camera.
Sheriff of a town. So
Muhammad Ali is the greatest.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
for sure. Thank you, babe.
Can we get a really quick picture for our social media? All right. And 3, 2. Got it.
Because you and your teammates, you've done a wonderful job. You know, there's a lot of attention. While we were running this piece, I saw a lot of it, our young audience, they're looking up, staring at the monitors at the Final Five.
You know, the best advice that I can give them, and I heard they're on the cover of a cereal box. I had that same experience 20 years ago, and I remember when I walked into the grocery store, and I saw myself and my teammates on the cereal box, and it was a surreal experience. And my grocery shopping experience was like no other after that.
Right.
I would say to these girls, number one, make sure they put kids in their life first. Like, give back to kids because it will make a difference. There's a touching story where I met Lori Hernandez when she was very little. I had her try on my Olympic gold medal. We took photos, and it's still an inspiration for her today.
That photo.
I know. I want to see it. And then also remember, you can say no. Learn to say no. Make sure you're serving others. Don't be used by anyone. So stay true to who you are, your brand, your business. Don't be led astray. And there's a lot of wolves out there. So, you know, be protected hopefully by your parents or good, loving,
They had good
positive
families
Yeah,
there.
they
Simone,
do.
by the way, said she's just so ready to come back and soak it in.
Right.
So,
Well, it's good to
for
soak
her.
it in, but I think they're going to also recognize that their life has changed greatly, and they need to remember to keep the right people around them. The best advice I got was from my coach. She said, you're not an NBA athlete, you're an Olympic gymnast, so save your money, and that's exactly what I did.
That's good advice.
That is
there.
great advice.
And no is a complete sentence.
Exactly.
No is a complete sentence.
The new book is called The Stock Market Explained, and it seeks to explain how the stock market works, what are the basic products bought and sold daily in the stock market, and then various approaches to investing. This book is not geared for somebody who has a lot of experience in the market, although they might find it an interesting read. It's more geared for the person who is curious about the market, may not fully understand how it works, and wants to become more comfortable with the stock market overall. In writing this book, I was keenly aware that many people fear the stock market, especially all the terms and jargon. So I tried to use the actual term used in the market and then give an explanation of the term that was clear and succinct. I didn't want to overwhelm people with all of these terms that they really didn't need to know. So I've kept it basic and clear. Many people don't realize that some of their money is invested in the stock market. If they have a stocks and shares ISA and they bought a unit trust, that's tied to the stock market. Most corporate pensions invest in shares and bonds, so that's the stock market. And if an individual has an endowment mortgage, part of the money is invested in the stock market, the endowment portion. So people need to be more comfortable with the stock market and to understand the basics. So in writing this book, my goal was to create that comfort level, not only with their own investments, but also with the ability to read the Financial Times, to read the Wall Street Journal, and to understand information that they hear day to day in the news. Ultimately, I hope that this book will spark people to say for themselves, maybe I can buy stocks and bonds myself as a part of a diverse plan to build a better financial future for myself. That's my hope.
There's no magic number. You know, the U.S. has the worst savings rate, one of the worst savings rate of any modern country. You know, in Japan, the saving rate is about 10% of income. And what I tell people is this is the way I've thought about it. One, I think it shouldn't hurt. So it's not like, the way that I've described it is there's certain people who then decide, okay, I'm going to start saving, and it's like they go on this awful diet. And it's like this, it's like getting their stomach stapled. Like they don't go for like, I'm just not gonna eat bread. You know, they just go extreme. So then their life becomes so just bad that they absolutely fall off the wagon and go back to even worse habits because they've basically denied themselves everything. So I'm not suggesting that you walk out tomorrow and say, I'm saving 50% of my income. I'm going to downsize to a studio apartment, you know, from my, you know, house in Westchester. You know, no, that's not what I'm suggesting. What I am suggesting, however, is that you save what you can afford and automatically increase that amount every year. What I tell people is whatever raise you get, half of it should go to savings. So every single time in my career I've ever gotten a raise, I've also at the exact same time increased my contributions to my mutual funds at Ariel. And that's just a little rule of thumb that I think helps.
I'm Alvin Hall, and here are my 5 top tips for handling your money well. Number 1, prioritize your spending. Know the difference between what you need and what you want. And all the things that you don't have to spend money on, eliminate them. 2, always save. The money in a savings account can be your cushion in case what if happens, but it also can be the money that you use to make a fantasy come true. 3, avoid excessive debt. Running up debt on credit cards and store cards is insane. Charge no more than you can afford to pay off each month. 4, cut back on your spending where you can. Always look for special offers in supermarket or buy things on sale, or look at all the food in your freezer and decide to use that before you buy more. And 5, always make sure you get value for every pound you spend. So whether you're going on a trip, taking a holiday, or buying a gift, make sure you spend that money wisely. When you travel, the most important thing is to be flexible and look for an appropriate fare. Everybody thinks that when you look for an appropriate fare, it means the lowest fare that will put you all the way in the back of the plane or in the worst seat on the train. That's not true. Depending on the promotion and the time of day you can travel, you may be able to travel first class at the price of a discounted economy or standard seat. Look for a bargain. It's more easy to access advanced fares than people may imagine. According to the National Rail, each week over 500,000 advanced fare tickets are sold. That's 500,000. So all of those people have figured out how to do it. In addition to that, the average price paid for a ticket is £5.11. If you want more information and help with making yourself an educated consumer, visit the website bestvaluefares.co.uk.
The thing that you were told when you were going to Wall Street.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Share that.
I was with a dear mentor of mine, President Brody, who's the former president of Johns Hopkins University. And I just come back from Afghanistan, and he was like, so what are you planning on doing next with your life? And I went to tell him I was going to go work on Wall Street. And I expected him to be excited. And he was like, really? And I told him, I said, that's not the answer that I thought you'd give me. And he said, why are you going to do that? And I started giving all these reasons. I said, well,
I want to help my grandparents.
I'm, helping financially my family. Can be around really smart people, all this kind of stuff. And he said to me, he said, you just explained to me for the past 3 minutes why you're doing it, and not once did the words "because I'm passionate" come out of your mouth. And he said, listen, Wes, I'm never going to judge you. And I'm never going to judge the decisions that you make, particularly if you feel like they're in the best interest of your family. Mm-hmm. The only thing I ask is this: the moment that you feel that you can leave that place, leave. because every moment you stay longer than you have to, you will become extraordinarily ordinary.
Wow.